the further away we get from the 1906 Great Earthquake, the closer we get to the next one. By consulting with experts and translating their data to computer models, we can now simulate a new mega-disaster that strikes modern San Francisco exactly as it did in 1906, again with no warning. 9 a.m., perhaps tomorrow. The ground rumbles and starts to shake, and it doesn't stop. For 45 interminable seconds, it churns the city violently. A magnitude 7.9 earthquake.
If we had an identical slippage along the San Andreas Fault, 275 to 300 miles through Northern California, the earthquake would encounter a population 10 times greater than it did in 1906.
The first things to be shattered are the vital links to the outside world. The Eastern Bay Bridge crumples and falls, plunging hundreds of motorists into the bay.
If the Bay Bridge goes out and the 101 freeway and the 80 freeway are damaged and the roads buckle, you are going to see a traffic jam of unimaginable proportion.
Cables on the swaying Golden Gate Bridge snap and the road surface buckles.
Engineers have recently stated that an 8.0 magnitude earthquake on the Richter scale could possibly topple the Golden Gate Bridge.
The only solid connection to the world is south on the peninsula, and freeways and rail traffic have ground to a halt.
Most of the freeways going into San Francisco are built on landfill. Those highways are likely to suffer severe damage.
Ground communication links are severed and satellite cell traffic overwhelmed. The fire department receives more than 1,000 calls before the jammed system shuts down. Breaks in natural gas pipelines ignite hundreds of fires throughout the city. Average citizens still don't know where to turn off their natural gas supplies.
The residential districts are built almost exclusively of wood frame buildings, and it's also one of the windiest cities. According to one of our previous fire chiefs, it's a city that was built to burn.
As the city tries to recover, all 48 fire stations go on tactical alert.
We have a state-of-the-art radio communication system, so we're communicating not just with fire department personnel, but all of the other emergency services departments.
Those who survive the intense ground shaking and the collapsing buildings look to the sky. Thick columns of smoke are the first warning of the firestorm to come. It is now 9:15 a.m. Hundreds of victims are trapped in elevators.
You will have people trying to get out of the parking garages in downtown San Francisco who will be idling there, unable to move, and those parking garages will fill up with carbon monoxide.
Downtown, glass panes fly from office buildings, slicing through cars and people.
What you will have in the financial district and downtown are broken streets, shattered sidewalks, shattered glass, people abandoning their automobiles.
Steel-framed high-rises will likely withstand the shaking. But wood-frame construction, homes and businesses make up 96% of the city's 122,000 structures. And almost two-thirds of San Francisco's wooden buildings have soft stories, vulnerable to collapse. Ambulances and fire trucks are mired in traffic. Panicked motorists choke the streets.
We might have access issues in getting our apparatus to the locations that we needed them to get to.
As fire hoses are trained on the growing flames, an even more deadly situation erupts. There is no water.
San Francisco has the most extraordinary auxiliary water supply system in the world, but it goes through filled ground.
The hydrant system completely failed in the last two quakes. In all likelihood, ground shaking will damage many supply lines again. Firefighters discover numerous breaks in the auxiliary and domestic hydrant systems. Pumping stations come online to force water into the system. But with so many leaks, water pressure remains low or non-existent. Flames, now driven by northwesterly winds, race across the city.
We have 2 fireboats. We always have 1 ready and available. It's an expensive piece of equipment to maintain. During difficult and challenging budget times, we always hear, do you really need to staff and budget for that fireboat? And since 1989, we make the argument that yes, absolutely we do.
Preparation is expensive, but vital to the survival of San Francisco. Firefighters hook up the portable hydrant system. It helps save the waterfront. With the disaster spreading, resources will be quickly depleted.
The city has grown and grown and grown and grown and grown, and the size of the fire department and the firefighting capability of the fire department has not kept pace.
City officials have to make some deadly choices. Are they going to save people in the office buildings in the financial district? People in the smaller row houses, the Marina District, or the popular hotels?
It is a very real threat that the next earthquake and fire will do more damage, not just in dollars, but in lives, to contemporary San Francisco.
A recent study estimates that a 7.9 quake will shatter and burn some 45,678 structures in the city, leaving more than 500,000 homeless. Property damage in Japan's Kobe quake totaled $150 billion. Relief and rebuilding 50% of San Francisco would be astronomical.
One of the greatest problems is the apathy of people in San Francisco and Northern California. Probably 99% don't have water supply and a food supply. It could be a week or more before anybody could possibly get to you. The more self-reliant, the more independent you are, the greater your chances of survival.
We have stretched our resources. We have overbuilt. We have done everything we could to put ourselves in a precarious position. If we don't wake up and we don't take precautions to mitigate the next one, it could be very, very ugly.
No one knows exactly what this city will look like after the next big quake. Who will live? Who will die? What will stand? What will vanish? One thing seems certain. The city will do as it did before, rebuild. This time, perhaps, the lessons of the past might be remembered.
It is folly in the extreme to build cities that have to be knocked down and rebuilt and knocked down and rebuilt time and time again because they exist on one of the most dangerous plate boundaries on the face of the planet. Can San Francisco accommodate this reality? The model is Japan. They've managed to accommodate. If they don't, then San Francisco too will one day be a ruin, and tourists will come, much as they do to Petra or Pompeii, and look at the stumps of the Golden Gate and look at the stump of the Transamerica Tower and say, why on earth did humankind ever build a city here?
San Franciscans will never give this city up. San Franciscans need to take that passion and love that they have for San Francisco and convert it into preparation and mitigation. They need to put the same energy into saving this city as they would into rebuilding the city, if that's what it takes.